Next month. Oh, yeah. Very good. But that's only kind of back to doing all the stock tournaments, yeah. Oh, yeah. We should, and then, I mean, also aerating it and scanning it actually is what really. A screenshot of it. It's from the screen.
Diana on Zoom? That's all your mail.
Yeah. That would be an issue.
McGee?
Yeah. And I don't think it's right, but then the question is why is our city employees,
Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone out this evening. The time is 6 o'clock. We will begin our regular city council meeting. Again, welcome. Great to have you out this evening. So we will begin our meeting. We do all of our invocation. We appreciate Father Francis from the Lady of the Valley Church who is here with us this evening. So please come forward to the microphone, and if everyone please stand for that invocation, and then remain standing afterwards for the Pledge of Allegiance.
The title of my prayer is "The Servant Leaders like the Lord Jesus Christ," and it is taken from John chapter 13, verses 1 to 17. In the Bible, we remember Jesus washed the feet of his disciples, and at the end, he asked them, "Do you understand what it means?" He said, "It means service. Serve people with love and integrity and humility." We'll begin our prayer in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. God, our Father, we thank you for the gift of leaders who direct the affairs of people. In the Holy Scriptures, God chose Saul, the king of Israel, by anointing him through the prophet Samuel. He did the same with King David, who shepherded the kingdom of Israel. In order to complete his choice of leaders and holy people according to his plan, God chose Elizabeth and Mary to become mothers of the precursor and the savior of the world, respectively. Today, we are gathered here to usher in leaders who administrate the seed of Cartwell and to guide and direct your people. Raise in the light of this, I pray, invoking the name of the Lord Jesus to pour his Spirit upon the whole city, the people, their businesses, farming, technology, innovation, and all that they do, and to equip them with more innovation to bring more blessings to the people. God our Father, I pray for those chosen to be leaders, that they may lead with love and example, so that their flock may find solace in their leaders. I pray especially for divine wisdom and inspiration, so that they will take decisions that will affect the people of Cartwell and the whole city positively. May the leaders rule with justice and integrity, thereby bringing to the people the radiance and efficacy of the Lord Jesus. May God give you the leaders and your families peace of mind and good health, so that you may be able to concentrate and to offer your services to the city. For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, to give his life as ransom for many. Matthew chapter 20, verse 28. We therefore pray that the Lord will grant you the leaders of service to the people you have been called to serve. We also pray for all those who will collaborate with the leaders, so that together you would achieve the aims and objectives which you are set to carry out for the betterment of the city of Cartwell and for the whole nation, the United States of America. We ask this through our Lord Jesus Christ, your Son, who lives in the unity of the Holy Spirit, one God, forever and ever. Amen. And now bless the city and the leaders in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, Father Francis. Very much that prayer and you being here with us this evening. Madam Clerk, if you please call the roll.
Doty?
Here.
McGee? Allgood? Williams?
Very good. So all council members are present and accounted for, and council register is joining us via Zoom. So with that, do please make sure when you are speaking, you need your microphone to ensure that she can hear that as well as anybody else at home watching or listening. Are there any conflict of interest declarations from the council members regarding an item on the agenda this evening? Okay, and we do not have any special presentations, and we do not have anyone signed up for the audience participation. So that'll move us right into our consent calendar, and we do not have any amendments that I'm aware of on the consent calendar this evening. So do we have a motion for approval of the consent calendar?
So moved.
We have a motion from Councilor Allgood, Councilor McGee, for approval of the consent calendar as printed. Madam Clerk, or actually, do we have that up? So that voting is now open. Council register is on. It should be everybody too. Everybody's not here. Very good. So all votes are cast. Voting is closed, and that passes unanimously and approves the calendar. So that moves us into old business. So we do have a few items in old business. So action item number one under old business for public hearing quasi-judicial. This item was continued from June 6th and July 5th of this year to this evening. So this is for annexation. Comprehensive plan, map amendment, rezone, and subdivision for Midland Meadows. So I'll allow staff to make their presentation.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Katie Wright, Associate Planner, 621 Cleveland Boulevard. Before you is case ANN 2226, ZON 2213, CPM 2211, and SUB 2243. They were heard before P&Z Commission on April 12, 2023, and they were conditioned to provide an updated GIS to ITD and Canyon Highway District 4, which they have done, and those comments have been received. Those are the two late exhibits that you should have in front of you. These were also taken into consideration with the engineering memo, and no changes were made. The project is 80.9 acres located north of the lower 5-mile drain and west of Midland Boulevard. The applicant proposing parcel R34118 be annexed into the city with a split zone of the portion north of Lincoln Road being R1 low density residential and south of Lincoln Road being R2 medium density residential. The applicant is concurrently proposing the rezone of parcel R34119 from R1 low density residential to R2 medium density residential. The applicant's also requesting a comprehensive plan amendment to include north of Lincoln Road parcel R34118 in the boundaries for Caldwell's future land use map with the designation of low density residential. Also to change the future land use designation of south of Lincoln Road and parcel R34119 from low density residential to medium density residential, along with the approval for a preliminary plat for single family residential subdivision. These are photos of the subject parcels. The first one is the parcel to the north, and then the second one is the parcel to the south. This is the preliminary plat for 266 single-family lots with larger lots up to the north and a little bit more density down to the south. A traffic impact study was performed and reviewed by the City of Caldwell Engineering Department. The code requires 6% open space, and they're providing 10%, equaling about 7.6 acres of qualifying open space. The applicant is in compliance with all landscaping, land use separation, pathway, and parking requirements. Here are elevations of the houses that they're proposing. There are a few different models, as you can tell. The proposed development is surrounded by county agriculture to the north, low density residential and county ag to the south, residential estate and county ag to the east, and low density residential and county ag to the west. On the screen are some of the approved developments in the surrounding area. The proposed comp plan designation is currently low density residential for the lower portion of the northern parcel and then the entirety of the southern parcel. The site would be both low density residential and medium density residential if approved for the comp plan amendment. And then that would make it consistent with the comp plan amendment as well as the densities that are shown above. They're proposing 2.46 dwelling units per acre for the portion that would be within the R1 zone, which is allowed to have 3 dwelling units per acre. And within the R2 zone, they would have 3.5 dwelling units per acre, which would be allowed for. Utilities will be provided to serve the proposed site and will be adequate to accommodate the proposed development. Public agencies were notified and asked to provide comments. The agencies that had concerns or comments were Franklin Ditch Company did include a letter which provided some of the bylaws and some of the other rules to ensure accessibility for the consumers. Canyon Highway District Number 4 provided some recommendations, and then Valley View originally sent a letter in opposition, but since worked out an agreement with the developer, which provided in a letter in the staff report. We received a public comment from Sunrock, which is right up to the north of where this would be developed. And it was a letter in support of the development. They just wanted to see some buffering between the gravel pit to the north and the development, which is something that staff has included in the conditions. Staff finds the request is in compliance with the Caldwell City Code and is in conformance with the comprehensive plan. It aligns with 8 goals and 10 policies. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval for all applications. Staff recommends that if council approves the request, that such request is subject to the conditions as specified in the findings, conclusions of law, and order of decision. And Director McDonald will now explain the infrastructure improvements.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. I have here an exhibit that shows some of the infrastructure. After I was trying to wrap my head around what is required as part of this development, and so it was easier to show an exhibit that outlined the infrastructure. So the north-south road you have on the left side is Middleton Road, and then the north-south road you have on the far right side is Midland Road. And then across the top you have Lincoln Road, which kind of curves up and around. So this development, as part of their development, they are required to extend a 16-inch water line from Mandalay, which is south on Middleton Road, all the way up to Lincoln, and then extend a 12-inch water line all the way across Lincoln through the site, and then north and south on Midland Road, to be able to bring water to the site and have the capacity for fire flow and everything that they need. In addition to that, they have a network water system in their development that ties to a well, which is right in the V of where the railroad comes down, and that canal that's right on the south or southwest corner of their development. So they'll be bringing a water line all the way around, and then they'll be tying to a well to give them that redundant source of water for the necessary for the uses that they have. In addition to that, they have sewer trunk lines that they are required to construct, and that is the purple line coming down the middle of the page is a 10-inch sewer trunk line. The yellow line that's up in Lincoln is 24-inch, and then it changes sizes as it goes down in Midland. And so there's quite a bit of infrastructure there that is required to install, and I just wanted to make sure that was clearly displayed for your understanding. The developer is also obligated to improve their frontage on Midland Boulevard, which is classified at this location as a minor arterial, and that is their half street from the north edge of the development all the way to the south edge. And in addition to that, throughout their development, they are obligated to reconstruct or expand Lincoln Road to a full minor arterial standard, which is where the yellow line is there. After reviewing the traffic impact study, there was something that I noticed that had been missed. The traffic in this area is not a problem. The problem is back at some of these other intersections that are outside of the project. Middleton and Lincoln is one of those locations where the level of service is failing. And then also at Midland and 2026 is another location. And so those two points there, I felt like were weak points. Though it's not in the staff report, it would be my recommendation, and I did talk to the applicant before this meeting, to require, consistent with the traffic impact study, a northbound and a southbound, left-hand turn lane and right-hand turn lane on Middleton Road, at Lincoln Road, just to help that traffic get off Middleton Road and get onto Lincoln Road without stopping all the other traffic that's running north and south. And that, in my mind, would be a big improvement at that intersection. That intersection ultimately is scheduled to be a roundabout, and that would be constructed with some of the other developments in that area. But we just don't know the timing yet on those. And so in the interim, that happens, or if that doesn't happen for some period of time, then those turn lanes would be necessary in my mind. The access at Midland in 2026 is also critical. But with ITD proposing to start construction between Middleton and Star in 2024, I feel like that if this development proceeds on its current schedule, going through design review for the rest of this year, and then maybe next year getting into completing a first phase, that hopefully ITD would be far enough along that they'd be putting in a traffic signal at that location. Those are some of my thoughts, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
So I might have just a couple, and then we got several lining up on that. So I guess more confirming for me. So is that about a half mile or so of water line that they'll be putting in, or maybe more than that? So that 16 inch, I don't have my That 16-inch one going up, 12-inch. Is that roughly a half?
So that's more, it's 1 mile from Middleton all the way to Midland. And that's a water line all the way through, and then they have water line in Midland, north and south, along the frontage of the property. And then they have water line running down Middleton, currently to where Mandalay's water line ends. So you're probably looking at closer to 1.5, or pushing maybe 2 miles of water line in major roadways. They still have all their water line in.
Okay, so that and they'll be obviously at their expense.
Correct for that.
Very good. Very good. That's just clarification I wanted. So, Councilor Stoddard.
It's not in the staff report, but it's my recommendation to council that you apply that and add that to whatever decisions made. No, and I saw the letter that the highway district but I haven't seen their new letter, so I'm not sure what it says, but I wouldn't be surprised if it touched on some of those same components.
Mayor, Commissioner, or council member, TJ, I forwarded him to. So TJ Friends addressed that those were actually included. Those were looked at, and they didn't have any revisions to the staff report. And then with the Valley View agreement, it was a monetary agreement to my understanding, and it is included in the staff report with all the language and everything. So you should be able to look at it a little. To my understanding, the applicant may be able to touch on that a little better. Yeah.
Okay. I know there's a few. Councilor Doty.
Director McDonald. Come back up. So if we're to believe our comprehensive plan is correct and the zoning of our city is correct, it's clear that they want to make some amendments to this in more houses. If I read from low density to medium density housing. So what are the pros and cons to doing that? The zoning map says it should be low density and not medium density.
Councilman Doty, that's a very good question. What I can give you is kind of a generic answer. All of our master plans are based off of what the current comp plans show. And comp plans have changed from time to time. Sometimes they become more dense, sometimes they become less dense. But everything we do obviously impacts the infrastructure of the city. In a case like this, when the transportation plan that is currently being adopted or worked on by Kittleson and Associates on behalf of the city, it would be currently looking at this location here as low density from a traffic standpoint. The difference between low density and medium density is probably about 25% more vehicle trips. And so it's not a significant amount, but it is certainly an increase from what would have been constructed if this was constructed as low density. So I guess what I would say is there will be some impact on the infrastructure, whether it's significant impact or not. It's hard to say.
Thank you. Thank you,
Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Director. I'm glad to hear you addressing this because from reading the staff report, I already had the questions about this, and it looks like the Highway District 4 problem has been resolved already for us. But I am still concerned about the traffic impact that this would have, especially in that major arterial between Middleton and Caldwell. But I suppose my question really for you is, and I noticed in the staff report you repeated it today, Midland is a minor arterial.
Are you satisfied with that? Midland's got a lot of problems already, and it's going to be traveled a lot more than minor, I think, especially as development continues.
Thank you, Councilman Williams. I'm happy you brought that up. We had a discussion about that this morning. Midland has traditionally been classified as a minor arterial. Every section of Midland between 2026 and Nampa, we have required improvements to meet our principal arterial standards. And so everything south of 2026 is being built to a five standard. And we felt like that was very important because there's a lot of traffic from 2026 going south. As you move north from 2026 on Midland, it really kind of peters out once you get up to Lincoln. And so we felt like a minor arterial from 2026 north is probably appropriate. Because once you get up to Lincoln, there's really not anything beyond that. We're always happy to look at that. Like I've mentioned before, we have a consultant that's reviewing all of our roadways in Caldwell and reviewing all of our classifications, and they're going to have recommendations when they finish up their design if we should be looking at different classifications for some of these roadways. But everything south of 2026 is being treated as a principal arterial.
I think also to note that even though it says minor, that still is the second highest road classification we have in the city. So principal arterial is number one, then minor arterial, and collector roadways, and your local street. So it is, you know, it has the word minor, and it's a fairly major road, but I agree with what Rob said on the locations.
And Mayor, I will also add that as Kittleson completes our transportation study, we will likely have more than just those four classifications. There will be different types of classifications depending on whether you're more in an urban setting or more in a rural setting, and there may be more options there.
Perfect. Any other questions? William? Okay. Councilor, all good. Did you have some questions? Oh, okay. Very good. Okay, Councilor Register, do you have any questions for staff at this time?
Sorry, I don't. You have to toggle back and forth between YouTube and Zoom, so it might take a minute to get me back on.
No problem. We will be patient. Appreciate the heads up on that. Okay, so we do have only one person signed up to testify on this item. So Mr. Brecken, please come forward. You state your name and address for the record, and you be given 10 minutes for your testimony. I'll let you know when you have 1 minute left, so you know when to start wrapping it up.
I'm John Brecken with Brecken Land Design, and I've got a short presentation here. Might help with some of the questions. And I'll try to be brief and stay under 10 minutes. Is it the sign that I push? Okay. I think a lot of this has already been covered by staff, Mr. McDonald, but site location was already covered there. Depicts adjacent major roadways. This is reference to the comp plan map and where we are located there. Next slide, please. Here's a zoning map, and that also shows location. Here's reference to schools, existing schools to the south. Here's a letter from the school district in support of the project, and details the agreement with the school district, essentially $1,000 per lot to be donated to the school district. The reference that the Valley View bond did pass here recently. Emergency services locations, and where they are in relationship to the site. Here's overall site plan breakdown. Just kind of, you can see the green depicts open space, very walkable community with pathways. We've been working on this since fall of 21 with staff and engineering to get it to where it is today. So we're feeling pretty good about the overall design with the help of staff. This slide probably be of interest. It shows the breakdown of the lot sizes and how they relate to the zoning, and particularly for our request of the R2 zoning. You can see the minimum lot size is 6,000 square feet per code. However, our average lot size as designed is 7,251 square feet, which is relatively close to the minimum lot size of the R1, which is 8,000 square feet. And the R1 zone, we have those lots have an average lot size of over 10,000 square feet, close to 11,000 square feet. And so it would feel that we're, even though we're asking for the R2, the overall project is still in alignment with the intentions of the comp plan to keep larger lots. This slide I added in here, this came up during discussion with P&Z, and it kind of shows some of the dimensions of the lots. This slide portrays what Mr. McDonald already reviewed. The infrastructure, actually, this is water infrastructure improvements, and where those line sizes are, where we're connecting from to the city well, on the southwest side of the property, and through the property, and through the main arterial roadways. This one shows sewer infrastructure. And then as part of this, the trunk line that we are constructing and our road frontage is part of a larger sewer master plan. And so until that is extended to this site, we'll have a temporary lift station that will get the sewer to the connection point on Midland Road. There's public roadway improvements. And then this was mentioned previously. This is off the ITD website. Shows scheduling for construction, which from start to middle scheduled for construction in 2024. This depicts irrigation improvements, pump station, connection point. This is just some details regarding irrigation. This one also shows open space and a breakdown there of how we're exceeding the open space requirement. Phasing plan. Some of the amenities that we have proposed. Our pickleball and playgrounds. Pathways throughout. We're a very walkable community. elevations of some of the home types, styles. Anticipate building. And I would stand for questions.
Perfect. Okay, I've got a couple. So you are proposing R2 zoning, but it appears to be more just lot size, allow some differential in there, not proposing duplexes or anything like that in the R2. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. That's correct. All single-family homes.
Okay. You answered the one I was asking about. I was going to ask about sewer. I forgot to ask Mr. McDonald that, but it looks like temporary lift station on that question. And then the lot next door. This is actually perfect. So that lot right there to the northwest. Do you know, are there any plans? Is there a developer that owns that? Is there plans for that to be developed too in the future, or kind of fill that missing piece right there?
The undeveloped field to the west?
Yep.
I'm not aware of any plans in the near future for that to be developed. Or as far as I know, it's going to stay farm field for.
For now. Okay. And then just going to highlight the Lincoln Road. Kind of maybe you don't think it's nice, but I know for the city it is nice. That if this is approved by council, that the entire section should be built by you and the developer rather than just half a section, which is always nice. Always tough when you just get half a road built, but you would get the pleasure of building the whole road. It does go through the middle of the site. But yeah, so those are just the questions that I have on that. Any questions from council? Yes, Councilor Allgood.
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
You have some proposed pretty good size lots, over 12,000, over 15,000. How many of those out of the 200 and some would you say are up in that size range?
Well, I'm going to go back to that slide I had previously that kind of detailed some of that. I don't know that I have. I don't know that I have an exact number for you. Oh, there it was. I just have. We've got a minimum lot size, a maximum lot size, and then the average. I mean,
the reason I'm asking is you throw one or two in there, it really raises your average a great deal. While the rest could be small. I'm curious to see how many of those larger lots. Do you have a rough estimate or?
Your question is how many of the larger lots are there?
That's a big lot. 12, 15,000.
Yes. And well, everything. I think by looking at this graphic, you can see the relative lot sizes. Everything north of Lincoln Road, which is the angled street there. That's tree line. Everything north of that is R1, and that would be those larger lot sizes. Just looking at that, you can assume that. I mean, you can kind of tell which ones are the bigger ones, and then there's a few that are on the smaller side just because of the layout and the odd shapes. So by and large, they're. Whoops. They are large. The average is 10,000, 883.
So could you go back to that last slide a minute?
Sure.
In the R2, when you're over 12,000 square foot lots, I'm trying to see where those might be. Can you kind of give me an idea where your 12,000 square foot lots would be?
Yeah. So R2. The 12,000.
Mm-hmm.
The 12,000, I think, are the ones in the center on that radius. Those appear to be larger, adjacent to the open space. There's a group on the south, the southeast corner there that have quite a larger depth. Those would certainly be larger lots. The whole block there, kind of in the middle west. There's 2 blocks of 8. Those are all certainly larger. I mean, they're just kind of sprinkled throughout. The smaller ones are probably on the far well, actually, along the north side, back up to Lincoln Road, those look a little bit on the smaller side. I mean, I can tell you by working through this thing for the last almost 2 years, we've gone through a lot of variations on this thing to get it where it is today. Working with staff, back and forth, the fire department, engineering. I mean, this is there's been a lot of work to get it where it's at. I think it's going to be a very nice development.
So I saw in your phasing plan that the middle section will be your first phase.
That's correct. That's
right
correct.
along Lincoln.
Yes.
And on your schedule, what would be the build out of phase one? When do you think you guys would kick that off?
Likely next year. But I couldn't say 100%.
Traffic's just that big concern that we have everything in place.
Sure. No, I mean, with all of our discussions, highway department, ITD, the city, we're looking at all these different factors and ITD doing those improvements. I think that just in line with our development. And the way things go schedule-wise, I mean, if we achieve approval tonight and we move forward, it's likely I would expect and it's going to be this time next year that we would potentially be breaking ground late summer, early fall, and by then we would realize those improvements on Chinden, 2026. That would be the goal. Hope that helps. I mean, there's a lot of infrastructure that needs to go in with this. So as far as when the lots are actually going to be saleable, would likely be later in the fall. And so I think that will address any kind of traffic concern. We've got all that sewer and water line and lift station and there's just a lot of work there to do that would take some time before we actually get the roads finished off and have final plat recordation.
Thank you.
Good. Any other questions? Any council members? Yes,
Mayor. Do you have any idea how many children school age you're going to add to this? The problems that Valley View has. Have you figured that out at all?
I have not.
Rule of thumb, I usually figure 2.5 kids per residential lot. And if you have 266,000 or 206 lots.
Yes.
And the price of building schools is up in the millions.
Yes.
It just doesn't match up, especially if you're only contributing $1,000 per lot to the school district. And we don't expect you to pay for the whole school, but those type of things, and then the traffic, it's just going to be horrendous. It is right now. I travel quite a bit, and I just don't think we have enough improvements on that whole project, to justify. Yeah, it's going to be fine because of traffic, and it's going to be fine because of school age kids too. So, just my comments. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Any council members? Councilor Register, do you have any questions?
Not at this time. I do for staff. It comes to that.
Okay, very good. So Mr. Brecken is the only person signed up. There's nobody here in opposition.
I'm sorry. My wife threw my help in the car.
So we do have somebody. Okay, John, we'll have you come back for rebuttal here in a minute. Okay, so sounds like we do have here. And are you here neutral or in opposition? Okay, so we'll get you to sign up right there.
I know.
That's all down in there. It's not going in there.
I'm sorry to screw things up, but I'm the guy that owns the property on
Sorry, one second before you start, if you don't mind, saying your name, your address for the record, and then you'll have 3 minutes.
Robert Kapka, 205-9393 Midland Boulevard, Caldwell, 605. I live on the extreme southeast corner of the project, and my concerns are threefold. One of them. First one is the infrastructure. Some of the questions were answered by the gentleman ahead of me. I don't know that they were satisfactorily answered. Putting in a lift station, poop up, before they get the sewer out there really make a whole lot of sense to me. That ground down there is really difficult for septic tanks. So that's out of the picture. The other thing is water. The thing is irrigation. I'm concerned about irrigation because I have no idea what the plan is. Right now I irrigate my ground out of the ditch that goes around. And I have no idea what the plan is for me being able to irrigate my ground. The second concern is traffic. I would point out that we just killed another guy this weekend at that intersection of 2026 and Midland. There's a reason why the people, the neighbors around there don't use that intersection during the day. We all go down Lincoln, 1 or 2 miles before we go south to hit 2026 during the day, or we take Lincoln over to Middleton, because the traffic is a lot less, and you never know what people are going to do at the intersection of 2026 and Midland. So, in my opinion, we're getting the cart a little bit ahead of the horse by starting this project before 2026 is completed. And I think they're looking at a completion date of 26. I think 2026. The other concern I have is piles of dirt. You know, we've been there 48 years. We've seen every crop grow on that ground in Treasure Valley, with the exception of hops. And I assume it's a foregone conclusion. At some point, the last crop will be built there. It'll be houses. But I would hope that in their construction, they don't just make piles of dirt like we have on Midland South of 2026. We started developing that a couple of years ago. Somebody did, and it's just piles of dirt. No more crops there. Just weeds and dirt. And on Middleton South of 2026, same thing. On 10th Avenue, south out of Caldwell, south of Houston, same thing, piles of dirt. People got started, and now they're just piles of dirt. So, I would hope that we're not getting the cart before the horse on this situation. Was my concerns. Thank you.
Do you mind out where you reside? Is it on the map now? On there? Can you see your house? Can you see your residence on this?
That's not terribly clear to me.
So this would be Lincoln. Here's Midland.
Okay.
Is it right here? Are you on Midland?
Yes, I'm on Midland. Just off of the 5 mile drain.
Right there it looks like. Correct.
That's it.
And
That's right.
Katie, the proposal is, does it include the piece surrounding?
Is what?
Mayor, that is so that parcel, Noah, if you could click on that one, and that'll highlight that, and then the one right north of it, was going through it, that is the totality of development.
I agreed with what Mr. Static said about is concerned about building so many homes in there, and the schools also. 266 homes, and a lot of traffic on Midland Boulevard. Right now we have between 400 and 600 belly dumps down that road every day between 7 in the morning and 5 at night. You start adding 1 or 2 cars per home on that road. Real problem.
Okay, hold on one second. Does any councilor have any questions? Councilor Register, do you have any questions?
Sorry.
Okay, I'm gonna get over here.
Yeah, I only have questions for staff. Yeah, I only have questions for staff when it comes up.
Okay, perfect, excellent. Okay, thank you so much, Robert. Thank you so much, Robert, being here.
Thank you for entertaining.
And I won't let your wife blame her for being late. So. That's right. Mr. Brecken, come forward. You will have 5 minutes for rebuttal testimony, and then stand for any questions from council.
John Brecken, Land Design, 6661 North Glenwood Street, Garden City. So the irrigation, I can pull up my presentation one more time. I could speak to that a little bit. And then, I guess regarding piles of dirt, there will be construction, so there will be some earth moving occurring, but the plan is not to have piles of dirt laying around for any period of time. The traffic issue, I feel like we've been through that backwards and forwards with the Highway District, ITD comments, staff and engineering review, and so we've met all the requirements as far as traffic improvements, and one of the conditions of approval is to make a donation of $155,000 for roadway off-site traffic improvements as the city feels is best. Let's see if I can find. Well, this would be the one too. I'll show you this slide. This is a slide that I got off of the ITD website. Shows the design of the 2026 improvements. So it is already designed by ITD and is ready to go in, and so they can start construction right away. Just for reference. That's one of the reasons we feel like 2026 will be improved. Like ITD said it would be. I'll also point out, Mr. McDonald mentioned, he just talked to me right before the hearing that we're going to be required to do turn lanes, intersection of Middleton Road and Lincoln, to address those improvements. I think I might have just went by it. There's sewer. Roadway. There's irrigation. So irrigation here, you can kind of see the little notch out there where the gentleman's home is. We've got a pump station planned. Our connection point is at the head gate on the other side of Middleton. We are not going to disturb any of his existing irrigation. We've met with the irrigation districts and verified our water rights and our source how all the design will function, and then our plan is to pipe from that head gate to the new pump station for the pressurized irrigation system, so that it should function properly. Those plans would be designed as part of the construction documents, and as part of the process are required to be submitted to the irrigation district for review and approval by their engineer and attorney. And I would stand for questions.
Okay, thank you so much. Questions from council? Okay, yes, Councilor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's probably more for staff, though. It really goes to the irrigation question. So, and I was trying to find the document. I read through it. Franklin Ditch Company seemed to express some concerns. Will this irrigation water be shared by the agricultural land as well as community from Franklin, or will it be? Are we going to create an irrigation problem adding as many homes with the same irrigation system? I suppose is where I'm going.
Thank you, Councilman Williams. The site, as it develops, is required to comply with irrigation, municipal irrigation district standards. So they, as they go through plan review, they are required and obligated to work with the irrigation district and make sure that they have the water supply there so that they can irrigate their site. The site already has water rights. So those water rights will be used in conjunction with irrigating the landscaping for the home. If they are unable to comply with the irrigation district standards, then their plans will not be approved. So the burden is on them to make sure they can comply. In addition to that, they have to work with the irrigation district. And if there are issues identified because they are irrigating more than they're supposed to be, or some issue with the water right that's going to cause issues with property owners around, that also is going to be a red flag for plan approval.
Any other questions? I'm going to ask one before we can't ask any more questions. I'm not sure if this is even going to be a moot question or not, where the council is headed, but maybe if you go back, showed all the lots, and kind of the landscape type plan. Maybe.
Need to point it somewhere.
Oh, there. Right there. So this just came up after we had the testimony. So the gentleman lives here. So again, and I'm not sure where the council is going to head with it, but if they do go down the path of approval, if there was a condition stating that this lot was to also be part of this common lot, basically giving him an entire buffer of no residences along his property, would that be amenable to the developer or not?
Mr. Mayor, if that's a deciding factor, then yes. However, I would point out to you that we have all the way around his lot, we have a very generous buffer, as well as a large common lot already, in an effort to not have homes right up against his property.
Yeah, very good. I noticed that. So I just wanted to ask before we testimony, we can't bring you back on. And again, I'm not sure where they're headed, but just wanted to put that out there. Okay.
Thank you.
Councilor Register, do you have any questions before we close the public portion of this hearing?
I don't.
Okay, Councilor Allgood.
Yes, sir, I'm looking at the picture here. Is that a walk path along the drain? At the back of the house?
Council, good, that is. There's a walk path. And you can see it is the length of the drain, and it ties into the open space on the west side, comes all the way around, and then ties out, goes all the way over to Midland.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay, that is all that is signed up on this matter. So it's time for a motion to close the public testimony portion of this hearing.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilor Doty and a second from Councilor Stoddard to close the public testimony portion of this hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion passes. Okay, so public testimony portion is closed, but as always, staff is available for questions. And I believe Councilor Register has some questions for staff. So we'll start with you, Councilor Register. You have some questions?
I do. So my concern about this proposal is the zone change. And so my question for staff is that if this is approved like this and the zone is changed to R2, then they have the ability to then build duplexes or I guess they want to know what changes for them, what more they get to do, and they don't have to come back for council approval. And then also, if it's changed now like this, and they sell the property or the land to somebody else, do they then also have that automatic R2, or do they have to come back for approval?
Mayor and Councilperson Register, I'll try to answer that first question for you on the duplexes. I mean, yes, according to the zoning code and R2 duplexes are outright permitted use. However, they're platting and they're calling out single-family homes on this plat. So if the plat goes through, it would require them to do a plat modification and come back to public hearing because it would significantly change the project that was presented at a public hearing. For the annexation portion, there can always be also a condition in the development agreement that this has been approved for single-family residential homes. And I'm sorry, I might have missed the additional question if there was another question after that.
Sorry, I don't know if you can hear me, but right after she was talking about duplexes.
So I'll go ahead and touch on that. And then she also was asking for a repeat on your second question. I was trying to remember what it was also and couldn't. So with the duplex, the council has the prerogative to put conditions of approval stating that only single-family residences are allowed. So basically outlying duplexes. So even though it's an R2 zone, you can still limit what uses are and are not allowed within that zone. So you could put a condition on there that no duplexes are allowed, condition that the only allowed uses are for single-family homes, something of that nature. So you do have that ability to add that condition in there to ensure that it is single-family, and that would go with the land. So whether a developer ends up developing it or if they were to sell it, it doesn't matter. That condition, that development agreement goes with land. So regardless of who owns it, that restriction would be there on that property. And that may have been your second question, if I'm remembering now.
Well, so during her answer, the mic went out. The very beginning of that. But I think I understand that if it's zoned R2, it goes with the land. But I guess I heard her say something about creating a plat and then coming back and having to change that later. With one of the previous developments that was brought before us they had met all the requirements and still came back, and it was kind of a forced yes. So could that happen here, where if they decided to do duplexes now that they were R2, as long as they met every requirement in city code, then it would have to be an automatic yes again?
So if the council, if this goes for approval and there's a condition of approval stating that those are not allowed, then no, because it would not be an allowed use anymore. Even though it's R2, you can still restrict the allowed uses within that R2 since this is a zoning request. So you could definitely restrict it, say no duplex is allowed, and then the only way they could change that is come back and ask for an amendment to that condition of approval, which would be, again, a public hearing with the council. But no, they could not come back and say, well, R2 says this is allowed. The condition of approval would trump that, and that would be in the development agreement that goes with the property.
Okay, so then the only benefit to them to changing it to R2 would be to have those larger lot sizes?
The smaller lot sizes, correct. So it gives them that variation to be able to go down to some of those smaller lot sizes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, definitely.
And Mayor and Councilperson Register, we just kind of looked back at the plat, and just to let you know that the lot sizes actually go up. Some of them are almost 16,000 square feet. So they're actually some of them are quite large, actually.
Okay. Councilor Allgood? Just
I know the gentleman had a picture. What is the touch to city property here? How big a touch is there at this location? They're already zoned in the city, correct?
Mayor and Councilor, the parcel to the south is already within the city limits. Okay.
That's a good one there. So it shows, so everything in the color would be city limits. There.
Okay, so there's a minor touch right there at the railroad tracks, it looks like.
And then all along here, that's contiguous.
And that's the big touch there. Okay. All right, thank you. I just wanted to see where it came in.
Any other questions for staff? And also any discussion and motions are always applicable at this time of the hearing. Councilor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know we're in the middle of well, I don't know about a middle, but I know you're working on a comp plan review, and I'm eager to see what you propose for us at that time. I'm concerned that while you're in the process of the comp plan review, that we're making another amendment. It seems to me that since you are working on that right now, it would serve us better to see where we're going. I'd also like to know where we have R1, and we need to have R1 somewhere. This is a good place to have it, obviously, which is why others before us believed that this was a good R1 property. So the amendment part of this, along with the annexation, is what's tripping me up as I'm musing over this and as I read through it in the packet. And then the traffic part of it still seems to be the missing piece. I think, you know, it was already stated, but that 2026 in Midland is a particularly dicey intersection already. So there's just some concerns, and especially since you're working on that comp plan now, I'm concerned about the amendment.
Okay, thank you very much. Other comments, discussion from any council members?
One more quick
Yes,
question,
Councilor
Director McDonald. There was a statement made that the build out of Highway 2026 could last for 2 years, 2024 to 2026. Is that accurate?
Councilman Allgood, that's totally possible. I don't know the duration of the project, and frankly, I don't know the phasing of the project. I know that it's supposed to start in 2024. To add a requirement or some kind of a stipulation that maybe development has to wait, maybe they can't have CFOs until that intersection is complete or something like that, that allows the timing to make sure that the timing's in sync there, then that would be an option too that could be looked at.
Thank you.
Yeah, for you. Any other comments, discussion, or questions? Councilor McGee.
Mr. Mayor, I'm ready to make a motion.
Okay, yes, motions are always appropriate.
Mr. Mayor, based on the testimony and evidence in record in this matter and upon the findings of facts and conclusions of law, I move that CPM 22-000011 for a comprehensive plan map amendment to include approval of resolution 432-22, ANN 22-000026 for the annexation and zoning of parcel 341-180-0000. I thought we weren't doing this anymore, Mayor. And ZON 22-000013 for the rezone of parcel 3411900000 to include approval of a development agreement and sub 22-000043 for preliminary plat for Midland Meadows subdivision be approved, subject to it is limited to only single-family home development.
Okay, and I may just ask if you're amenable, a couple other potential, one would be, we saw elevations, and not that we don't trust them, but it's nice to tie that when they show something, to tie that the elevations displayed is what's going to be built, more or less. So within that frame, would you be amenable to that?
Absolutely.
Okay, very good. So we do have a condition, we do have a motion for approval of the request with conditions as outlined in the staff report, with also the addition of that duplexes would not be allowed within development, and also the elevations displayed as part of the exhibits that the home was built need to mimic the elevations that were displayed today at the hearing.
Mr. Mayor?
Okay. Yes.
Would it be potentially for one more modification?
You can ask the motion maker for sure.
You all right with that? Absolutely.
Well, you want to hear it first?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's the modification I was talking about, is the Lincoln Road, Middleton Road deceleration lanes that Director McDonald described previously be included in there.
Yeah, that's fine. As long as Debbie understands what the motion is and everyone understands those requirements, both of those amendments are fine with me. But I think Mr. McDonald, Director McDonald might have something to add.
Just a point of clarification, not necessarily deceleration lanes, but northbound right-hand turn lane and a southbound left-hand turn lane on Middleton Road at Lincoln.
What he said.
Okay, very good. Okay.
I think as long as the council and Debbie understand what the motion is, I'm amenable to those amendments.
Okay, very good. And I'll repeat it just so if everyone understands it. If not, we can kind of go into that more. So the motion would be for approval with the conditions as outlined by staff, conditions from the Public Works Director in regards to the turn lanes as stated earlier, the elevations that were shown, and the duplex is not allowed. Does that sound correct? Okay. Any questions at all on that motion? Okay, any discussion on that motion?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilor Register.
I just wanted to, I was going to comment and I missed it, but I just wanted to support what Councilor Williams was saying about in the middle of the stuff that the city's doing, trying to look at our plan or comprehensive plan and all that kind of thing, that it's appropriate to let that go through first. So that's all I wanted to say.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much. Any other discussion? Okay, with that, we will open the voting at this time. And all votes are cast. The voting is closed. And the motion fails with 4 in opposition and 2 in favor. So for those at home who maybe can't see that, so Councilor Algan, Councilor McGee did vote in favor. Councilor Doty, Councilor Stoddard, Councilor Williams, and Councilor Register did vote in opposition. So that does deny the request with 4 in opposition and 2 in favor. And with that, I believe we do need to state the reason for the denial and what the applicant could do to come back to seek approval in the future. So if one of the 4 want to...
I don't mind speaking, Mr. Mayor. So, I mean, it's already been touched on several times, I think, but it is zoned for R1, not for R2, correct? I want to make sure I have my numbers right. Mm-hmm. And I didn't really hear any benefits of changing it from R1 to R2. I only heard what negative impacts it was going to have by having that many houses in there. So, in my opinion, if that's our zoning and that's what it says, and R1 is the better product without telling me what good R2 is, then that's why my vote is no.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Any other comments from Councilor Williams or Councilor Stoddard or Councilor Register? Okay, Very good. Okay, thank you very much for that. So that is important. That is state code that we do. If it is a denial, we do need to let the applicant know the reasons for that and what they could do in the future. It sounds like complying with the comp plan currently and larger lot sizes. That's kind of what I got from that. So, okay, we do appreciate you being here for that. So I would stand for a motion to close this public hearing item.
So moved.
So the motion from Councilor Stoddard and a second from Councilor Doty to close this public hearing item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Okay, so with that, action item number 2 and 3 under old business are moot, as those were part of this previous hearing, and since it was denied, we do not need to move forward with those action items at this time. That moves us into new business, action item number 1. And this is for subdivision 23 I'm guessing it's supposed to be just 7, not a 9 on the front of there, 9,000,007. And this is for Velarde Crossing subdivision on behalf of Advocates Against Family Violence for 10 lots and 10 new single-family homes. So with that, Alex, the time is yours.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Alex Jones, Associate Planner, 621 Cleveland Boulevard. Today, presented to you is a preliminary plat for Velarde Crossing subdivision. There we go. Okay, so for application request, the applicant is requesting the project location is a 1.07 acre parcel located on the east corner of East Elgin Street and North 14th Avenue. The applicant is proposing a preliminary plat for the Velarde Crossing subdivision. Here are photos of the subject parcel. For their development proposal, they're proposing 10 single-family homes equaling about 10 dwelling units per acre. For landscaping, there are no open space requirements for subdivisions under 11 lots, but they do have their landscape buffers along Elgin and North 14th. Here are elevations. These are similar homes that they have built around the city, and this is what the homes would look like. For existing conditions, you have traditional neighborhood to the north, east, west, and M1 light industrial to the south. For comprehensive plan, it's all the same, traditional neighborhood to the north, east, west, and manufacturing production to the south. Utilities are available and will be provided to the site. ITD responded back saying no concerns, and staff did not receive any public notifications. The hearing examiner recommended approval on June 28th. And staff would like to add these 2 conditions. One would be prior to submittal of a final plat application, the applicant shall provide a 10-foot wide landscape easement along the Elgin frontage for all required landscape improvements. And another condition that the final plat shall include a note stating the following: the property owners of lots 1 and 12 is responsible for the maintenance of all landscaping located within the landscape easement identified on the plat. For staff analysis, we find this is conformance to the comprehensive plan and aligns with 4 goals and 13 policies, and that if council approves the request, that is subject to the findings in the FCO. I stand for questions.
Okay, very good. Do we have any questions at this time for staff? Okay, so we have one person signed up on this one as well. Kathy? There you are. If you'll please come forward, and if you'll state your name and your address for the record, and then you'll have up to 10 minutes for your testimony if you need that on that. And basically, if you could just explain the request and the reason for that would be perfect.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Kathy Venrick. My address is 623 South Kimball Avenue, Suite A, Caldwell. And we are, I'm with Autumn Gold Affordable Housing, and this project would provide 10 new affordable homes, home buyer homes in the city. We've built quite a few homes previously in Caldwell. They're all sold to low-income families. They come with down payment and closing cost assistance, both from IHFA and the City of Caldwell. These are built under a HUD program. Each house will be sold to a family that makes under 80% of the AMI, and they will qualify for up to 35% of the purchase price and assistance from Idaho Housing and Finance, and additional assistance from the City of Caldwell's Affordable Housing Program. Not sure what else I might tell you, but I'll answer any questions you have.
Very good. Excellent. Thank you so much. Any questions from council? Council Register, do you have any questions? I mean, I guess not. So that means you did a great job. No question. So well done. Okay. And as mentioned, Kathy is the only one signed up to testify on this item. So if there is no questions for the applicant, then I would stand for a motion to close the public testimony portion of this hearing.
So moved.
And a second? Second. Motion from Councilor Stoddard and a second from Councilor Doty to close the public testimony portion of this hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion passes. Okay, so then that would move us into discussion, questions for staff, or motions as well, are always appropriate.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilor Elgin.
Just a question for Alex real quick. On this development, is the developer required to do curb gutter and sidewalk on Elgin and 14th? Will it include all of that, or what will that look like?
So council, currently curb gutter and sidewalk does exist on this property already. They will be responsible for fixing any dilapidated curb gutter or sidewalk.
Okay, thank you. And just one more thing.
Yes.
Let me get to the right spot. First of all, I really appreciate what Autumn Gold does. They do a special and kind of they serve a niche in our community that very few do, and I really appreciate what they do. And I'm ready for a motion.
Very good. Yes. Motion be appropriate.
Based on the testimony and evidence and record in this matter and upon findings of facts and conclusions of law, I move that SUB 23-7 for a preliminary plat for Velarde Crossing subdivision be approved.
Very good. So we have a motion for approval and a second. So motion from Councilor Allgood and a second from
Mayor and Council, can you include the 2 conditions that were added in the staff report in that motion?
Yes, sir. Sorry.
What were they?
No. Yes, and my motion would include the 2 listed conditions that were in the staff report at the early presentation.
Very good. Is that amenable to the seconder of the motion? Okay, very good. So we do have that amended motion. Again, is for approval of the request with the conditions as outlined, as well as the 2 additional conditions that were stated there during the presentation this evening. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, then voting is open at this time. And all votes are cast, so voting is closed, and that motion does pass unanimously. So I stand for a motion to close that public hearing item. And a second?
Second.
A motion from Councilor McGee and a second from Councilor Doty to close this public hearing item. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion passes. Okay, so that moves us now on to action item number 2. And this is public hearing for the purpose of receiving public comment for the Community Development Block Grant, the CDBG 2023 program year, annual action plan for housing and urban development. So if you remember, we did have this presentation, I think it was at last council. So this is to wrap that up. So, and don't need your address, but if you could state your name so we know on the record who's speaking, that would be great.
Dominique Moreno, and I'm the CDBG specialist in training. Good evening, Mayor Wagner and council members. Joining me this evening, I have Elizabeth McNanny. She's our consultant and will be assisting me. Just a quick recap. The City of Caldwell's action plan is our 1-year strategic plan to provide an outline of action for the community using our CDBG funding as it works towards meeting the housing and community development needs of low to moderate income and special needs households. We have been a CDBG entitlement community since 2016. Our 3 main goals for our action plan of 2023 is 1, to improve access to affordable housing, 2, rapid rehousing and homelessness prevention, and 3, improving safety and livability within our neighborhoods. These goals are focused on providing assistance to our most vulnerable residents, those who lack affordable housing, and who are at possible risk of becoming homeless and tend to spend a disproportionate amount of finances on housing costs. The allocation of funding for program year 2023 is in the amount of $444,484. That is all I have. That's all.
Okay, very good. Any questions from council?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilor
I
Stoddard.
just wanted to thank you for sending the email out on the prevention and elimination of slums and blight.
You're welcome.
Some of the language was a little bit vague, but at least we have something on it.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
Of course.
Good, thank you. Anything else from any council members? Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Did you have anything else, Elizabeth? So, okay.
did a great job, thank you.
She did. We're glad to have her. So thank you so much, Dominique. Okay, so with that, this is a resolution, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm looking at the right one. So is there any discussion, any motions in regards to approval of this resolution? Councilor Doty.
Make a motion that we consider resolution authorizing the submittal of the CDBG 2023 action plan to the Department of Housing and Urban Development.
Very good. So we have a motion from Councilor Doty and a second from Councilor McGee for approving this resolution as was stated. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, then voting is open. And all votes are cast, so voting is closed, and that passes unanimously. So thank you again, very much appreciate that. You're batting 1,000, 1 for 1. Dominique, good job, keep it up. Okay, so that moves us into action item number 4, accept the FY 2024 tentative budget and set the public hearing date for Tuesday, August 15th at 6 p.m. Raylyn, I believe this will be you.
I switch it to Monday in my motion?
You can try and see what happens. You can motion for anything, Wednesday.
This will be just really brief. As before you is just the totals for the by fund. Hopefully tomorrow, I'm working with OpenGov, you'll have the detail in the budget book posted online where you'll be able to see line by line everything. But the budget book will be posted online on the finance page. But this is just to set the budget hearing for August 15th so we can get, but this is the tentative with everything that you guys have requested.
Excellent.
Okay, short and sweet and to the point. Very good. And I know there were some questions about that as the proposed changes have been implemented, and they have, and what's being presented. So for that. Okay, so do we need to make a motion on that, or I guess is there any questions at this time for Raylyn? And so yes, so basically we just are setting that date of Tuesday, August 15th, 2023 at 6 p.m.
I move that, Mayor.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
So motion from Councilor McGee and a second from Councilor Doty to set the public hearing date for acceptance of the FY 2024 tentative budget for 2 weeks from tonight. You don't want to make that motion to Monday?
I wouldn't mind making it Monday.
So 2 weeks from tonight, Tuesday, August 15th at 6 p.m. So we're going to try to get Councilor Doty out of here for the rodeo on that night. Okay, any discussion on that motion? Okay, then voting, or can we just do a roll call vote on this? We should be able to, right? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? None. That motion passes unanimously. So that does set, again, Tuesday, August 15th for the approval, acceptance of the FY 2024 tentative budget. And just to know, we have had several workshops, had one extra for our wonderful police department back there. So we appreciated being able to do that last week, and also council coming in again on that Monday night. But yes, so we've had several workshops on that, and excited to wrap that up 2 weeks from tonight. Okay, then that moves us into action item number 5, accept the notice of a public hearing to be held on Tuesday, August 15th, 6 p.m. to consider increase of fees over 5% previously charged for Colby Event Center, fire, golf, police, planning and zoning, rec department, and new fees as well. Raylyn?
So this is for all the fees that are above 5%. So we are required to do a public hearing for any fee that we're changing above 5%. These are all the fees changes that are also included in the revenue projections for the budget.
Okay, very good. Any questions for Aylin? Okay, again, this is just setting the date for 2 weeks from tonight. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
From Councilor McGee and a second from Councilor Doty. Again, to set the public hearing date of Tuesday, August 15th for consideration of increase of fees over 5%. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Again, that motion passes unanimously. That moves us to number 6, public hearing for the purpose of increases to development impact fees above 5% of that previously charged. And who is Mr. Orton doing this one? He still works here?
He did say it was his last day.
It was. So we might be here for a while,
No.
gentlemen. Just so you
There's
know.
You mind loading up my PowerPoint presentation? Just kidding. Thank you, members of council, mayor. It's a pleasure to be with you. We have before you a public hearing for just adoption of impact fee increases over 5%. So this is something that you might have done just as a matter of course, based on indices. We have to make sure we're tracking with the value of money, and that's the Impact Fee Committee has worked very hard to tune up the capital improvement plan in years past. So this doesn't touch any of the work that has been done by the committee. Rather, it just says, okay, how has the value of money changed with respect to purchasing power in construction, or the things that are most near to the things on the capital improvement plans for fire, police, and parks. And so this uses those indices to propose an increase. It happens to be that the average of those, the average change in the index from last October until July, when we put this together, was slightly over 5%. One of them is the building index, which is closer to what you do with parks and fire. Most of that is building infrastructure. The stuff that's not buildings is patrol cars and fire apparatus, if that's the right way to say that. And so, sorry. That was dumb. I'm so sorry. So it ends up being a little over. Man, it's a good thing this is my last time.
Go out. Way to go out, Brent. You're looking good.
So,
great.
I've had this much trouble since
This your first time?
Oh dear. So, do want to recognize our chairman of our Impact Fee Committee, Mr. Rob Pilot, is here with us tonight. So the action that we should pursue is first a public hearing, and then if there are questions or anything, we can address those at the end of the public hearing, and would ask you to consider the resolution tonight to make the changes. So with that, I'll stand for your questions.
Good. Any questions from council for Brent this time?
Just keep smiling.
I will.
Thank you for your service, Brent. Is Mr. Pilot going to speak?
He is,
Is that
yes,
what he's
he did
going to
sign
do?
up on that. So, and I do also want, while Rob's coming
sorry.
forward, wanted to thank him also for his dedication and service on the Impact Fee Committee. I know it's been a few years on there and back on there again, so really do appreciate the time and
Yeah,
effort you
thank
put
you.
into that.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. 2007, I think, is when I started this endeavor. I guess for the record, my name is Rob Pilot, 2805 Willow Falls Avenue in Caldwell. And I feel terrible that I'm going to probably get a jab in on Mr. Orton on his last day, but that's part of being the chairman of the Impact Fee as a developer. So I want you to note that I signed up as neutral because I'm not opposed to impact fees from a theoretical standpoint. I mean, I think as long as they're calculated in a fair and unbiased manner, they work and they're a necessity for a community. Growth needs to pay its proportionate share. I also want to note that in total, we're talking about $150, give or take, and that's not really a hill that I feel like dying on tonight. So, but I would remind you that housing affordability is eroded incrementally, dollar by dollar, and often a few $100s at a time. And the death of affordability is normally by 1,000 cuts, as we all know. So the newly proposed fee of $33, $36, and 11 cents is going to be paid by your constituents, whether longtime members of the community or newly transplanted to Caldwell, perhaps one of the 50 new proposed openings at the City of Caldwell employment So, a little housekeeping, if you'll entertain me. I need to bring to your attention that despite several attempts, I think, and maybe Mr. Tittenberg can vouch for this, but we tried to get together and it never happened. So the information that you have in front of you tonight was basically emailed to us. And while I understand the mechanics behind it, it's basically just a fight against inflation to get a new dollar. This proposal was never really truly vetted by the Impact Fee Committee. Well, I'm sure it was an oversight. Obviously, historically, impact fees in the city of Caldwell have been a bit of a struggle for both sides of the coin, and it is a little frustrating to the point that I would actually quote Mr. Orton at the July 17th budget meeting, where he said, "It's been the tail wagging the dog in impact fees." So it's a little frustrating, but I understand the intent. I hope that as we move forward and the capital improvements plan gets revised, we can have a better understanding as a group as to how we get through it. I really don't have anything to say about fire or police other than there was some discussion through email over the last few months about how the level of service for the police has dropped from 1.2 to 1. And I think it's worth noting that I don't think that has anything to do with growth, because growth has been paying its proportionate share based on a formula of 1.2 to 1,000. So it sounds like through the budget meetings, that's all been remedied, and I think we can move forward with it. But I do have some comments about the park fee. When we met last year, there were some concerns from several of us about the pool. Now, it's listed on the capital improvements plan and used as part of the formulation for the park's impact fees. The premise of the fees, obviously, is to monetarily assess a fee and how it impacts an asset or a level of service that the community provides. And I guess for me, I asked this body, how can growth be held accountable for negatively impacting an asset that's been out of commission for 3 years and probably will be 4 by the time it's all said and done? I think the amount was north of $2 million, and that's money that is used to formulate what development pays for its fair share of the parks and recs impact fees. I don't think it's fair. I think that the capital improvements plan needs to be revised to strike the pool entirely as 0 until the community or the city, which it sounds like that you have a plan to move forward. But once that is part of the level of service that this community offers, at that point, impact fees should be paying for their impact on that. So as such, my recommendation would be to approve approve police and fire and table the parks proposal until we can address the capital improvements plan as it relates to the pool. Lastly, I don't mean to get off of out of my lane a little bit here, but I do want to note that, as all of you have, we've been pretty in the weeds on the budget the last couple of weeks, and I've been trying to pay attention. I think it's worth noting that you're benefactors of the fruits of growth that Caldwell's seen. Year over year, my estimates are a net increase of total values in the city limits of nearly $2 billion, $1 billion of urban renewal coming into the system, and that's growth. Sales tax revenues doubled in the last 4 years from 4 million to 7.6 million, and that's directly tied to growth. Double-digit employee raises, and a proposed budget from 2019 to what you have proposed now of 2024 of, I think, from 84 million to about 126 million. I don't know what the bottom line is of the 2024 budget, but we've seen growth leaps and bounds from a financial standpoint be positive. So to say that growth doesn't pay its way is a bit of a broad statement that really doesn't carry a lot of weight with me. So if you have any other questions, I would stand for them at this point, but that's my recommendation at this point.
Yeah, no, appreciate that very much. Any questions from council? Council Register, do you have any questions?
I don't, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much. And again, thank you for your service. We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
So, okay, and as mentioned, Mr. Pilot is the only one that was signed up to testify on this matter. Mr. Orton, any final comments?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, just to comment, behind you, or I guess in front of you on the screen, is the capital improvement plan for the parks impact fees, and it does include the pool. What we've done with these and what the committee worked really hard to do, including Mr. Pilot, was to tune up, if there were any projects that were on the capital improvement plan that we had actual bids for, we used those because there was a disparity that we were seeing, and Rob commented on it some with the history of the police impact fees, that the buying power of the impact fees was not maintained at a level that would continue to buy the capital improvement plan. Now, one thing I did assert to you in the budget workshops, and I do understand this to be correct, is that from the time that you put the stake in the ground and created impact fees, you do have the right to maintain the level of service with impact fees. So if the impact fees get out of sync, that's not good. And it's, I think, why the state statute says we should be checking in on a regular basis, but it is the prerogative of the city to maintain that level of service still. The other comment I would make is that we did not meet with the impact fee committee. I honestly can't tell you. We certainly are looking for the impact fee committee's help and input to make modifications to the capital improvement plan, and soon I think we'll be bringing before you, well, the team will be bringing for you master plans and capital improvement plans, some of which will be eligible for impact fees and some of which won't, but they'll be solid master plans that really reflect what is needed for these departments. And so that will call for another meeting with the impact fee committee. And we have met with the impact fee committee just to make recommendations on maintaining cash value. But I do believe that it's common amongst other cities to look at the index and make a change to the impact fees accordingly, just like we make changes to the other fees in an effort to keep them on par with the value of money. So that said, I do want you to know that Rob is an extremely attentive member of the committee. He works really hard to make sure he understands things and to make sure that things are fair, and is a good asset that way for helping make sure things are vetted properly. So with that, I'm happy to stand for any other questions you have. And
very good. Any other questions? Yes, Councilor Doty.
So if we remove the pool from this list that's behind us and in front of us here, what impact, since we're talking impact fees, would that have if we remove the pool since it's built? So I'm trying to understand. It's to maintain its current state. No one wants it maintained in the current state that it's in, the pool. That's pretty easy to do, which is nothing. But if we were to remove the pool out of there until it's built, what impact do you see from that?
Excellent question, Mr. Mayor, Councilor Doty. What happens here is these were all included when the impact fee was constructed on the basis of the capital improvement plan last year. So if we remove the pool now, we're not altering per se what's before you tonight. Instead, we're altering the capital improvement plan as it was presented to you previously, when everything was tuned up based on a modification of the capital improvement plan. And then we also used the indices to grow those. And the reality is that several of our 2017 estimates were inaccurate. They were already outdated at the time that they were adopted with the last capital improvement plan update. And that's why the committee worked so hard to tune this up last year. So we couldn't actually literally delete that, and you could see what change it would make to the existing impact fee, because it would modify that some. But it's not, let's see, 77%. So, no, if you're willing to indulge me, if you went to cell D31, and just click on that guy and delete it. Oh, we have to hit enable edit at the top, I'm sorry. If we delete that guy, actually, you know what, let's do is delete B31. And then if we go back to the first sheet, Yeah, that's probably the one to hit, yeah. So on the left, you see the fees that were adopted last year after the committee's significant effort. And so you can see that parks with the pool excluded would have been 2006.94. So if we go back, if we just hit undo a couple times, probably gonna, yeah, and then go back again to that. It's 2006.94. Okay, so that didn't alter it. Let's go back to the Parks Capital Improvement Plan again. It's the total sum. We use that sum of validated projects. Actually, I think the pool is excluded already. That's why that didn't change it. If we go down to cell B38, I think we excluded it because of the concerns that arose before. And double click on that guy. And the pool is excluded already, actually. So we're not growing on the basis of the pool being included.
So it's not included.
So it's already excluded. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Hold on, Councilor Stoughton.
I just, again, my memory isn't what it used to be, but I remember my first term when I asked Mr. Wade, when's the last time we visited impact fees, did you include in that conversation? And nobody could remember. So, we've been so far behind up until now, the last couple of years, and appreciate Mr. Pilot's input, but we've been so far behind the past years that, we've got to catch up sometime, because look at all the sidewalks and curbs that still haven't been in, where homes that are 50, 60 years old, where the kids have to walk to buses and, instead of streets and sidewalks. So, that's just one example of how far behind we were way back when, so.
Yes, and honestly, we had, in 2007, we set up the capital improvement plan, and then we ran for several years, and we actually failed to have the number of meetings that were required by state statute with our impact fee committee. We just didn't make changes, and we also didn't update it. So we did get way behind on it. I will say, though, that based on the committee's work last year, considering the capital improvement plans as they stand today, I think we do have those caught up. Based on, and if you determine to pass this resolution, I think you'll remain in a caught up condition with those fees with those fees being able to purchase the capital improvement plan, which is that end game charter of impact fees. That said, when we go through the capital improvement plans again, there'll be an analysis that'll say, okay, what is it that takes us back to an even more foundational premise of impact fees, which is maintaining the city's level of service. What is the city's level of service for fire, for police, and for parks? And there's a separate number of bases that you could use to evaluate that. Usually in parks, it's how many acres of park do you have per thousand. Fire and police, different metrics for those, but it's basically finding a defensible basis for what your level of service is and then maintaining it. So in any case, I think that this is tracking with the capital improvement plans as they stand. I will also make a comment that I am a little bit, I'm excited that capital improvement plans are being reconsidered in new master plans because, especially with respect to the police impact fee, I think we had an incomplete capital improvement plan. And we kind of, when Rob's quotation of me saying we're letting the tail wag the dog, what my context was for that in the budget workshops was that if we do an impact fee study and in the midst of an impact fee study, we say, oh yeah, what's the capital improvement plan? Okay, well, let's cobble something together. Okay, here it is. Now let's do the impact fee thing. Is probably letting the tail wag the dog, when what we should be doing is what we are now working on, that Raylene is working on with all the departments, which is we do a master plan. For a second, forget about impact fees. We do a master plan that's real, true, and accurate. It comes with a capital improvement plan that is real, true, and accurate to what is needed and is appropriate for the community. And then we break down that capital improvement plan to determine which of these elements are growth related and which of them are not. Which of them would be necessary to maintain our level of service and which of them might improve it. Any elements that might improve it or are maintenance related are not eligible for impact fees. And so we need to do the planning effort and then go to the impact fee effort instead of doing the impact fee effort and just grabbing something to stick in it. And that's why I said make the comment about the tail wagging the dog. It's just, it'll be a way better approach.
The only, just a comment, Mr. Mayor, caution I have to the rest of the councilors is that I was in a meeting over Napa here about a month ago, just looking at their impact fees compared to ours. And we have to be a little bit careful that we don't compare the two cities because they're maxed out as far as impact fees. I mean, they're really, really expensive compared to ours. But if anybody comes up and says, well, yours isn't the same as Napa, I mean, it's oranges to apples as far as I'm concerned, but we still need to keep up with what we have on growth. So, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Mayor?
Yes, Councilor Godey.
I know he wants to hear it one more time. Director Orton? I just want to know, since the pool is off of there, is it anticipated that it will come back once the pool is built? Is that why it's already eliminated?
Well, we took it out because the committee had concerns about if it was going to, it's a big project, and there was concerns about if it was going to skew the numbers, because this tune-up was actually not just like sum up the projects and there's your fee. Instead, it was a way to take the original capital improvement plan and the originally proposed fees and say, have these been grown appropriately to keep the buying power the same? And so we took the pool out for a couple reasons. One, because there was obviously concern. The bid that we got most lately was $12 million, and it was like, was way more than we anticipated. We anticipated $3 million originally, right? And then we're like, well, we'll find a way to make $6 million work, when that's what the contractor said. And then finally they came back and said 12 million. We're like, that's off the table. So we eliminated it for that reason, because we didn't want to skew this truing of actual bids or improved estimates or to come up with an actual growth factor. So what we didn't do with the committee last time is sum up the totals and just split that up as an impact fee. What we did do last time is we used those changes to say, what was the original price that was put in that capital improvement plan in 2017, or based on 2017 numbers. It took a couple of years to pass those. And what was the actual cost to build that same asset listed in the capital improvement plan at that time? We would say today, right? But it was at that time. And we used actual bids and things to tune that up so we could make this number grow to an actual capable buying power number at that time on that day. So it wasn't, so you won't find the pool inclusion or exclusion being directly impacting this as a sum, but it was excluded because of those concerns. And I had forgotten that, but when we checked those, the sum there that was used for the growth rate, I'm confident it was excluded previously.
Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. Yes, Councilor Williams.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Former Director Orton.
Hell quick.
That's fun.
So given the conflict of scheduling and the challenges that it is, and I know even in my own life, it's difficult sometimes to make some of these meetings and I have to skip them, but what would be the detriment, in your opinion, of us approving fire and police and tabling parks so that we could get a capital improvement plan together rather than the cliff notes that we're trying to digest rather quickly now? Is there a problem in your mind if we did that? Because it makes a little sense to me, given the fact that we have testimony that's not against this, but saying there's some work that could be done. I almost see maybe a benefit to us of doing that, because we could always come back later and then approve it. Is that correct?
Absolutely, it is correct. It could be delayed. The important thing is, I guess there's a couple important things. First of all, these are proposed to become effective October 1st. So it would be preferable to make that happen before October 1st. Secondly, though, what I would say is the reason that we weren't able to make an impact fee committee meeting happen as part of this effort is just there just wasn't enough staff resource available to do that. And your staff resources are improving, but there's a lot more improvements that are going to come to them as part of the new budget. I would suggest too, while this might be a little irregular, Chairman Rob is in this way possibly kind of a staff member, and I would suggest maybe you invite him back up now that we've been able to refresh that we did exclude the pool from it and see if he feels the same about this or differently. It may not be necessary to delay that. I'm really frankly happy either way. I just think it's valuable to be sensitive to the timing of other staff. And with me departing, there's going to be a period of time when your staff is even more inundated, right? They're going to be covering multiple people's responsibilities until positions can be filled. So that's the only bummer about trying to cram that meeting in between now and October 1st. But it is possible, and it doesn't have to be, these could be passed anytime before October 1st.
Are you open to that, Mr. Mayor? Inviting Rob back
Oh,
up
definitely. Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Chairman's always welcome at the microphone.
Thank you for your reconsideration. Given the information that Mr. Orton has walked us through today with this spreadsheet, it's obviously complicated. And when you look at it, it looks on the surface that the pool was included because he's got a percentage of 77% against the total cost. But his grand total, once he highlights the cell, shows that it's not part of the assessment fee total. So now that he showed us that, I would retract my recommendation to table the parks fee and approve all three presented tonight.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Any questions for the good chairman? Okay, thank you so much. Really appreciate it, Rob. Okay, any other discussion or questions or Council Register?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. I actually do just have a quick question. I just want to make sure that with all the pool talk, like we had already, I believe we budgeted to repair the pool. Is that correct? And that's not changed, right?
Correct. Yep. That brings up a really important point, Mr. Mayor, Council Register, forgive me. And that is the impact fees can only build bricks and mortar. They can only build capital improvements. They can't be used for repair of an existing asset. They can't be used to replace a depreciated asset. They can only be used for new, and new that's associated with growth. And then after that, the theory behind impact fees is that then the property tax is being paid by the citizens who paid that impact fee when they came in the door. Later on, the maintenance of that asset happens because they're paying property taxes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that anybody who's watching this doesn't think that we are now putting the pool on hold again because it sounds like it's off the table. That's not correct, right?
Correct. Yep. The pool is not. It's out to bid, and that's not changing.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Very good. Thank you so much, Mr. Orton. Any other questions? Okay. Appreciate it.
Mr. Mayor,
yes.
I do want to make a comment on that. Anything that is new or growth related, and I think the bathhouse, we may have been considering using impact fees against part of the bathhouse, the eligible portion of that. So I just want to make sure the record's clear about that. But the pool, by and large, is anything that's related, maintenance related, is excluded. Just want to make sure they don't leave something out and leave the wrong idea. So,
okay, excellent. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. So again, this is action item number 6 for the public hearing for the development impact fee increases. So I stand for motion to close that public hearing. So we got a motion from Councilor Williams, second from Councilor McGee. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
That motion passes. So that moves us to considering this resolution for the increasing of the police, fire, and parks impact fees based on growth and related construction indices as presented this evening. Do we have any discussion or any motions on that?
So moved.
For approval? Okay, so we have a motion for approval from Councilor Williams and a second from Councilor McGee, approving the resolution for the increase in the impact fees. Any discussion on that motion? Yeah, with that, the voting is open at this time. And all votes are cast. The voting is closed, and that motion passes unanimously. And that moves us into action item number 8. Consider Bill number 29, ordinance number 3523, amending Chapter 3, Article 1, 030115, Sub 1 of City Code pertaining to salaries of elected officials. We request to move for its passage by title only and approve the summary for publication. Taylor, you get to do this one.
Mayor and Council, thank you. So in front of you tonight, you have an ordinance that is adjusting the compensation for mayor and council members. a little bit of an explanation about the two dates that you see on that ordinance. So that is by state code, Title 50, Chapter 2. It delineates that any sort of adjustment to compensation for mayor and council members needs to be or ought to be published 75 days before the general election, and then that those compensation adjustments will be effective on January 1st following that general election. So again, explaining those dates that you see in January 1st, 2024, and then January 1st, 2026. Again, first day of January following those general elections. So I'll stand for any questions on that ordinance in front of you.
Very good. Thank you so much. Questions from council? Yes, Councilor Elgin.
Yeah, thank you. I was looking at those two dates, and I was questioning the reason we were doing 2026, because there will be an election before that. Why did we include 2026 in that?
So, and Councilmember Allgood, if I say anything incorrect, I would look to the mayor to kind of clarify for me. My understanding was that 2026 January 1st date was to provide for a cost of living adjustment kind of consistent with what you're seeing for 2024, and just making that across the board after the general election in 2023 and 2025. That answer your question?
And that's my question, maybe for the mayors. I can understand that we needed to address one now because we have an election coming up this November, but why are we addressing one
for that further down,
for 2 more years down the road when again we potentially we will have new counselors here before that next election? So why are we including the 2026 one?
Very good. So kind of Taylor, I think, hit on it pretty good. So it is, I mean, it's up to the purview of the council, obviously, but it is pretty standard in other cities. Actually, I was looking at Idaho Falls, theirs goes through 2030 even. So it has steps for like every year for like some of them up to even 10 years. So that way you're not having to address it every 2 years, kind of covers that cost of living adjustment. And kind of how it goes to, you have to be very careful. You can't base it on saying, you know, increases for your employees. So saying basically if the employees get this much raise and the council gets that much, because then in the court they can say, well, the reason the council gave the raises is because then that gives themselves raises. So you have to be really, and I've learned this as we've gone through this with Taylor. She helped to educate me on a lot of that, and I appreciate that, her and Doug. So that was kind of the reason, was rather than just having to address it every election cycle, at least get a couple in there so that it's set and we don't have to come back and have these discussions again. Covers that kind of a cost of living adjustment. Again, that's over, got to remember that's over 2 years. So it is that 5% then, but that's for a 2 year. So really it's a 2.5% on each of those years. So it just helps cover that without having to readdress it every other year during an election cycle.
So these would be fixed through 2028 because we would approve it in 2026. There would not be another addressing of this budget until 2028.
Yeah, I mean, and it could be addressed at any time. So if you wanted to come back and take it away, you can, or if they wanted to add to it, they could. It doesn't mean you can't, but it would basically set it for, again, at 2024 and then increase it at 5% in 2026, and then it's flat there. So if they wanted to adjust it more in the future, they'd have to come back either in 2026 or in 2028, one of those even number years.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to make one comment too. Through that meeting I had here a couple of weeks ago in Napa on impact fees, the other thing I asked about is what they were paying their city council, and they're well above what we're getting paid. I just want to make sure if taxpayers are watching out there that we're not even with Napa by far. So I think they're around 14 or 15,000. We're down around 10 or 11,000. So anyway, and they've got 30,000 more people than we do, obviously, but still, it's I think it's a reasonable amount.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well noted. I agree as well. So money well earned. I know you all do a lot of work, and it's very much appreciated. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Very good. So do we have a sponsor of bill number 29, ordinance number 3523?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Doty.
I don't mind sponsoring it as long as there's no more comments about the dates. Is everybody satisfied with the explanation of? Okay.
Yeah, satisfied.
So, Mr. Mayor, consider bill number 29, ordinance 3523, amending chapter 3, article 1, 315, subparagraph 1 of the city code pertaining to salaries of elected officials, with a request to move for its passage by title only and approve the summary for publication.
Good. So we do have a sponsor of bill 29, ordinance number 3523. Do we have a second?
Second.
Sponsor, Counselor Doty with a second from Counselor Counselor Doty and a second from Counselor Stoddard, for this bill and ordinance. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, with that, the voting is open. And all votes are cast. The voting is closed. And that motion does pass unanimously. That moves us into action item number 9, consider acceptance of the finance report. Councilor Williams, are you doing that tonight?
I think I will, since Council Register is with us on Zoom. I move that accounts payable in the amount of $4,336,531.15 are presented by check numbers 171147 through 171521 and payroll for the amount of $608,856.00, represented by check numbers 38826 through 38871, and direct deposits, the accepted payments approved, and vouchers filed in the office of the city clerk.
Very good. So we have a motion for the acceptance of the finance report. Do we have a second?
Second.
So a motion from Councilor Williams and a second from Councilor Allgood. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 And that motion passes. And that moves us into council reports. Councilor Register, let's start with you this evening.
Actually, can I go last? Sorry.
So we've got another request for that. So do you mind going ahead, going forward?
I actually don't have anything to comment on unless I kind of wanted to possibly talk about something that one of the other counselors might talk about. So if they do, I just would like a chance to answer that.
Okay. Councilor Stoddard.
I have nothing.
Okay. Councilor Doty.
Just with the unfortunate news from the Wasden family, I just want to make sure that our thoughts and prayers are with them. So that's all I have for tonight.
Yes, thank you very much for that. So yes, definitely, that is heartbreaking. So I just found out about that yesterday. Councilor Williams.
Mr. Mayor, just a couple of things, and I really probably want to defer to you on the one we discussed earlier, but kudos to the Coe County All-Stars for going to the World Series of Little League. Coe County All-Stars is comprised of Caldwell and Homedale players with some Nampa players, but from my experience, the majority of those players are Caldwell residents, and this is a big deal that we've got Caldwell players going to the World Series, and perhaps you'll have more to say about that. I think you will. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for that. And then just one other comment, since several people have been asking me about what my intentions are for seat 4, and since Councilor Allgood decided to make some special statement a couple weeks ago, I thought it might be important for me to let everybody know that I do intend to run for the seat.
Very good. Thank you so much. Wish you best of luck, and Councilor Allgood, the best of luck on those ventures coming up soon.
Thank you.
Councilor Allgood.
Yes, and I'll kick off what Councilor Register was referring to. I have a great deal of concern where we're at in our land use approvals, and I feel like we're doing a bit of disservice to everybody involved. I know we have a comprehensive plan in the works. I know that's out for bid to have people bid on that proposal, but what the decisions we make, like the decisions we made 2 weeks ago where we had a split council and we had split council again tonight, we have the public come in and speak which is very serious to them on development issues, and a lot of times we vote against them, which is difficult and I know causes bad feelings. I guess the long and short of it is, and we have developers that are trying to kind of hit a moving target because we see things differently. So what I would like to see, and I really don't have a good answer of how to do this other than get people in a room, but I would like to see sooner rather than later find a way to get some clear direction on how we're going to go forward with approving our developments, because right now there does not seem to be a clear consensus from this body on what we want for the city of Caldwell and what we don't. And having been here a long time, I see things our predecessors have done that, like, what were they thinking, or why would, because we're going to be judged 10 or 20 years down the road what we're making these decisions on now. Yeah, exactly. And I really, I don't know, I would love for me personally to have some direction of this is what, you know, this is where we're at, and this is what we're going forward. We have school discussions every time, and the schools issues are not our situation. I know they're a serious situation, but they're not our situation to solve. So anyway, I think what I'm getting after is I would love to have some kind of meeting, discussion, committee, something to kind of give this body some direction on, in the absence. And I really like Councilor Doty's statement earlier, well, it doesn't fit the comprehensive plan, so we're voting no. Well, we have amended it many times in the past. And so we're like, do we amend it today? Do we not amend it? You know what I'm saying? And so I hope I'm making sense here, but I just feel like we're lacking direction, which affects both of our public that come and testify in front of us and our developers who are trying to put a plan together that we would approve. And like I said, I don't have any big answers other than I would love to find a committee or including developers and stuff that we could come up with a direction that we would all feel similarly about. I'm not saying everybody votes the same every time, but kind of a consensus.
Yeah, no, and I think that makes perfect sense. So I think those are some great comments on that. So,
Mr. Mayor, is that Councilman Register? Is that what you wanted to talk about as well?
Yeah, just briefly, I support what Councilor Allgood was saying, but also that I think some of the problems we run into, as well as some of the city codes, and much like how we formed a committee for impact fees, that a committee could be put together to review the codes, make sure that they're something that we can still work with, that they're up to date, that they conform to what's going on now with the massive amounts of growth that's going on. I think we ran into one of those problems on the development previously, where we had all these people coming in and testifying, taking time out of their day. And it was sort of one of those things where we were told we have to vote yes because they met requirements. And then are those requirements still conducive to the city as it is now? Are we up to date? So I think the idea is to maybe put something together with a committee of, different people, like we did with the impact committee, developers, maybe somebody from council, people from the community, to review all these things and make sure that we're doing what's right for the city now with the growth that we've had.
Very good. Any other comments, Councilor Register? Or does that kind of cover it?
No, that was it. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, you bet. Thank you. Councilor McGee.
Well, thank you, Mayor. I as you know, I don't typically talk at this point in the meeting since we're usually wanting to get out of here, and I'll keep my comments short, but I do have something to say tonight. It's a little bit different than Councilman Williams and Councilman Allgood, and that is that I do not intend to run this fall for the City Council. I will be supporting these two gentlemen in their elections, however. I just have a couple of thoughts I'll share, and then I'll hand it back over to you, Mayor. Mayor, I think you know I turned 50 this year, and I think these big birthdays cause you to think about things and contemplate things, and certainly I've been doing a lot of that recently. This is my 12th year of elected public service, and it's something that I'm very proud of, but it's also something that I've been doing now for 25% of my life. And if you add the time I spent as a staffer in the U.S. Senate for Dirk Kempthorne and in the governor's office for Dirk Kempthorne, that's like half of my life now has been in public service, and it's probably enough, at least for now. I'm very involved now with church leadership. The Porters know this, on the national level and the regional level, and that takes up a lot of my time. My wife is also very involved with that. Maddie, my daughter, is going to be a freshman at Valley View, and I've got four more years of Madeline being in our house before she goes to college, and I just I feel like I need to use that time the best that I can. I am very grateful and humbled that this community gave me a second chance to serve after I made a big mistake. And that is something that I will always be grateful for. This is a great community. And I'll continue to serve in this community in various capacities, just not in this one. But I am looking forward to the next 5 months serving with you all. And Debbie, I would suggest that you get some extra C6 packets for the meeting this week.
Thank you very much.
What school did you say Maddie was going to?
Yes, tough to follow that, but no, I appreciate all those comments and everything, and obviously wish you nothing but the best in all of your future endeavors, and especially for your family, because I think, as we all know, that's really what takes precedence, is our family. So, yeah, appreciate this evening being able to be here. Exciting to be here with Brent for his last one as Public Works Director at 11:59 p.m. Is that when it officially ends? And Rob was at 12:01 a.m. this morning when he officially became the Public Works Director. So I'm very excited. We already got him on the news today. So his first day as Public Works Director, and he got to be interviewed. So
we should get twice the work in the next few hours, right?
That's right. That's right. So you're not off the clock yet, Mr. Orton. So, but no, just again, appreciate Brent. We were able to have a little celebration yesterday, and appreciate those that were able to come down and take part in that. And again, just appreciate his years of service to the city. And we're excited now to take advantage of Mr. McDonald and run him ragged in his new office on that. But I'm excited. I have no doubt Rob's going to succeed, be very successful in that position. So excited for that, for him and for the staff that he has, and yeah, to see what the future holds. So excellent on that. And then just kind of touching, I love it when we are on the same wavelength. When I came here this evening, I actually brought the budget item for the council to talk about this item, and Councilor Williams brought it up when he got here before I was able to talk to him about it in regards to, I don't know if you saw the news article on Channel 7 regarding the 13U baseball team, the Canyon County, first team from Canyon County to make it to the Nationals. So they won regionals. There was a team in Montana that they beat by 1 run to make it to Nationals. So they're headed out. Actually, I think it was August 10th is what they said, and trying to raise a significant amount of money to obviously get those kids and the coaches back there. So they do have a GoFundMe account. And so I wanted to talk with council. This does not require a vote, but obviously want to talk to you and see if you're amenable to this. So there is a community relations budget within the council, and there is just under $3,000. There's around $2,900 in that account right now, and see if the council is amenable to provide a donation of your choosing, whether it's $1,000, $1,500, whatever that is. I think that'd be a great resource to use that community relations budget to help those kids get back. Like I said, a lot of them are Caldwell kids on that, so I think that'd be a great way to lend a helping hand. And obviously that's your budget, and so we want your approval on that. We can move forward with that if you see fit in that regard. Is there any comments on that or discussion on that?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilor Doty.
You don't anticipate anything else coming up that we would need that for before October 1? Does anyone have anything?
What about the neighborhood meetings? Does that come out of that budget? Or?
So that comes out of the mayor's right now. Next year it's kind of split, but the majority of that does come out of the mayor's one this year. So
I'm not opposed to giving them an amount of money out of that fund for that endeavor. So
appropriate to everyone? Sure. Okay, very good. Then we'll do that on behalf of the council. And I know that Canyon County Sheriff did a check presentation, so if you'd like, we could even see about if we want to get together, the council, and do something like that. And
Be bigger than whatever the sheriff.
we'll find out how big it was and
Bigger.
make it just an inch bigger each way. So we can do that. Okay, well that's awesome. So we'll do that. And
But he gave?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
So, but we can find out and do $1 more. Is that where you're getting at? So.
I'm not gonna go that far.
No, but to highlight, we do appreciate the Canyon County Sheriff being a part of that too, their office, and doing that also. So that's fantastic, them getting involved, and appreciate the council's green light on the city at being involved in that as well. So, and that's really all that I had for this evening. So again, appreciate it. And with that, stand for a motion to adjourn.
So move.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And that motion passes.